Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar dedicated to the Modular Content Lab. So we did two webinars so far and spoke about segmentation, personalization as a part of modular content. If you missed that session, you can scan the QR code and request your recording. We also spoke about metadata and tagging. The recording is also available on demand just by scanning this QR code. And today, we will be talking about standardization. Sometimes this topic is omitted. Sometimes people don't think about why standardizing is important. So today's session, and we call it like the forgotten step. So just in a couple of minutes before, as people are joining now, we will get going. So far, as I said, you can just scan the codes and catch up with the sessions that were live before. And just one more minute and we'll be ready to go. So yeah, let's go ahead. Today is the third webinar in the series, and it has been a tradition that we invite different subject matter experts from Viseven that help me cover this or that topic. And today, a little bit later down the line of this webinar, my colleague Oleksandra, who is a customer success lead based out of Bridgewater, New Jersey. We're actually sitting in the same office, but we'll be just connecting from different spots. This is all the impact of the remote work and our habits right now. So she's gonna join and give her hands-on experience about why having a standard is important. So every day she's working with agencies, she's working with partners from pharma and life sciences, and basically connecting those two big groups of our clients. And so she will tell us exactly why having a standard is a good thing. So from the agenda, we will talk about how standardization is connected to personalization. So how we will unify creative content and production. Then Sasha will talk about her daily work and how she's standardizing also agency work. And then we're gonna have this Q&A. So we have some slides prepared for you. And just to kick things off, here we identified four most important aspects which will eventually lead to standardization and personalization of the engagement. So personalization at scale is not possible if you don't have a standard. So first, an initial step is standardizing thing and then personalizing at scale. And to do so, we cannot just inject our old way of doing things, all types of content into a new way. We just have to rework the complete way how we create, store, and eventually retire the content. With the urge to deliver content faster, to be more agile and personalized, that kind of more an old school way of doing things, and this is created this long form solid piece of content. We switch to smaller but meaningful chunks, which we call modules, and which we can align to the persona's need, recombine in different combination, and then deliver in a fast and easy way. And those recombination and those personalized pieces, they would speak to the specific client needs. So what we exactly standardize? So first and foremost is the content itself. Having a template, a wireframe, a design solution that would govern the look and feel of a content piece across the regions and maybe across the brands in the portfolio is one of the essential pieces. Tied to that, to the content, is also the tagging. How, like, what systems of metadata do we apply so that this piece of content can be first identified and then reused by the markets. We also talk about the agency briefings standardization. So, and I think Viseven here did a really great step forward by really enabling that, not just from like a strategy perspective or from the idea, but also actually giving a tool that helps to unite pharma brand managers and the agencies, and in this way enable creating really understandable and easy to process briefing documents. So it's not like, you know, throwing multiple PDFs and PowerPoints anymore. And also the technology. Technology being a unified standard across of the multiple providers. So there is something that they need to be governed by, just because there are now crazy attrition rates across of the agencies. So you might start your project with one team and finish 6 months later with an absolutely different thing. And the technology is something that will unite them. Same as, like, you know, your vendor ecosystem. Some of the partners can appear, some of the partners can be decommissioned, but they all have to deliver you the software product. And if there is nothing that unites them from the technology perspective, they will have to do a lot of rework and redundant activities. So I'd probably, like, as a first and important thing, I will start with the content standardization and how that ties in the day-to-day content production. So how we normally to create those templates. So we use the brand guidances to create that unified look and feel, navigation, and functionality across of the brands. So we use the unified design framework to place the assets, active buttons, in the appropriate places according to the UX, so that not just the creators know how those elements function, but also the end users, that being the sales rep that use the digital sales aid, or the email reader themselves, so that physicians or nurses, so that they, if they receive the email, they will straight away know that it comes from your company. And also modular approach. Those modules that are essentially can be injected into different types of channel specific assets. So one of the same module can be streamed across in the digital sales aid, in the little landing page, in a banner, or also as a part of the email campaign. And by standardizing that look and feel, that wireframe, we can also suggest a number of reusable templates that can serve this or that purpose. So just to name several, they can be something like medical education email, just basic newsletters, surveys, invitation to webcasts, and something like those like transactional emails. All of those types of content to maintain excellent user experience will be based on the template, and that would mean that it would fall into a standard. And if we try to decompose an email, for example, because like it's very easy to talk emails because all of us is engaging with the emails like every day. So if we decompose an email into those building blocks that are standardized, what we get are those little building blocks that agencies or marketeers put together, assemble in different orders and variations, and then submit for review and approval process. So by providing multiple variations of header or footnotes, and also a variety of body email body modules and blocks, what users are actually provided is the possibility to combine them in thousands and thousands of different combinations. But the great fact in that is that by reusing those standard building blocks and by having the variety of them, while sticking to the standard, they can still be different. They can still play with the look and feel, with the design, but remaining compliant with the general strategy. That would add immensely to the recognition of the brand in the inbox, because our attention is so saturated. But since I get that email, which I'm used to, I will straight away recognize that who it comes from. And so those blocks, essentially, how they are constituted. So there are those little components that like atoms in the molecule. They are all standalone pieces, like a button, a image, or some image gallery, a carousel, or something that just exists by itself, but it has to be combined together with other components just to make sense, just to make sure that there is some UX on the background. And then when those little elements are combined together, they form a block. And a block already is a suggestion of a layout, because it is meant to be for a desktop. It can vary in its form when it is on the mobile, and it already suggests some of the UX, some of the elements placing that would hint the user to perform this or that actions. And all those blocks are part of the template. And the template is something that actually varies and carries that brand identity. It is branded by brand A, brand B, it's corporate, and it's where this whole brand styles are kept. And so all of that here, what you see on the left side of the screen, is something that just doesn't have any content. It doesn't have any images, it doesn't have any data, nothing. So it's just your canvas for playing. But here on the right side, right here, is something where you add the meaning to the form. It is modules that will need to be injected into the template, where styles will be applied automatically, and where actual assembly process will take place. And that would lead us to the final asset. And here we already transfer from that static material, which is long form, which is built once for the purpose, into a dynamic plug and play way to create emails based on the standard templates, modules, and blocks. So this concept of actually creating something based on the templates is a part of our next story that we're going to unveil, and this is how actually marketing or IT people of pharma company would interact with that and how agency is a part of the picture, because there are multiple stakeholders, they all have to be aligned. And now Sasha would be joining me as I will guide you through this little video about how to brief the agency, how to use the templates in your agency communication and co-creation of new assets. And then we will walk you through like discussing about how actually that is used in real life. So I will now play a little video that's a screencast of the solution that we have, which actually features creation of a briefing document for the agency. Because sometimes, and with my prior role in marketing, I'm absolutely guilty of coming to a design team and saying, well, just create something beautiful. I want to have this, but I don't know, something, I don't like this, and which is something very, very hard to explain. But now, when there is already some sort of a guidance for me to create the brief and for the agency to understand what I want more precisely, this is something we're showing right now. So now the marketing person is basically creating a briefing document for his agency. What he's doing is he is using a template to convey what he wants the agency to do. And so now, instead of creating some PDF or a PowerPoint, throwing there different screenshots or images or something like that, the marketing person is creating that briefing document in this digital space where either himself, his peers from marketing team, and also agencies can access. He drag and drops different components that he wants his email to contain. So for example, the ISI, and in this step-by-step way, he actually starts tailoring the email itself. Of course, we don't expect that marketing person would do a lot of things himself. He just has no time for that. And he also doesn't have to create everything on his own. So that's why for the things that he probably doesn't have time to do or doesn't have capacity to do, and which can be also like a little bit complicated and not in his span of digital skills, he just adds comments to the agency that would then receive the brief, get that guidance, and be able to continue the work just as he said. And so now, as in this example, so it was like a fast, easy moment, but the requester asked his agency partner to do something, and then it was easy to understand, and it is easy to produce exactly what has been offered and what has been requested by the requester. So that's why it's not also just a tool to standardize things, but it's also a tool to make the collaboration easy, smooth, and cost efficient as well. Because just by creating this brief in a digital way, half of the work of the coding has already done. And I know that this tool is something that Oleksandra is using every day in her work, and that's why I really wanted her to talk to those benefits of the briefing document and how it helps her and other partners, other stakeholders that she's talking to every day in the daily work.
Hello, Oksana. Thank you very much for inviting me for this topic. It's a pleasure to be here, and I know that I would be a great talker for this thing, because it's really like it's my everyday job to work with this tool, because I'm working mostly in the implementation and execution of the projects within content production area, and my main responsibilities are mostly go for being a person that gets the requests from the marketing teams and like brand teams and their agencies, and translates those requests to the production areas and production teams who are working with different assets. And briefing tool is really one of the things that are helping to simplify and speed up my work and work of my colleagues who work with the same tasks, because content production in its classical way, it's also kind of a for sure it's interesting, but for sure time consuming kind of thing, because first of all, usually you need to brief the content creators how they should create those assets, like what are the guidelines, what are the technologies should be used, and everything like that. And this is usually most difficult part, because those can be different and those requirements can be changing over the time. But briefing tool is the technology I'm working daily with, because I'm working with the templates. That's the topic of our conversation today. And I'm working with different assets like emails, e-details, websites, e-learnings, and other things. And this is very easy, something that is very easy to translate into something that has the requirements inbuilt in the system. And when you don't have to, you know, like spend that much time and effort on showing different things, how the brand guidelines should be used, or how the company guidelines should be used. And by company guidelines, I might mean like not exactly something visual and brand specific, but that also quite much relates to the technology and the processes that the company uses. And all of these small components, they are integrated in the platform, because for example, if you saw from the video that has been shown that we have the templates built that are broken into smaller pieces like blocks, and their elements, much smaller elements like buttons, like navigation patterns, some icons. And this all is being a part of the template. So the agency, the creative team, the brand manager, they don't need to worry about like what things, what components, how we need to use that, but they have all of this already in place, and they need just to put their effort and thinking more into how to organize that content more smartly. So this would be engaging, so this would be working, that would be you know, like clear for the end user, but they don't have to think about like what fonts we should use there, what styles and logos and things like that. And also it is very as I was like giving the example of the company requirements, it is very easy to inbuild those into the tool, because The template in briefing tool has that part already incorporated. Like, do you want what's gonna be the, you don't have to think and you don't have to worry about what's gonna be the technical requirements for the target system where you are going to use this email or e-detail or website. But this technical requirements, they already are added into the system. So when you're creating the brief, you're just choosing what kind of output system you are using in the end, and the system does everything for you and builds the asset exactly in the way you need it into the you need it further. So this usually simplifies like huge round of communication, especially with the like with the agencies who are joining. Like, of course, we know that we are working not with only one agency on the brand, on the country, but there are different teams are joining here and there for different projects. So this might usually end up with like endless explanations on how things should be done. But if you're using the system, you're just getting the clear guideline on what you should use in certain scenario, and you're just picking up that in the system. And also a very like big benefit of the tool is that actually the the manager can use this to start the project idea, like you were mentioning for your marketer experience. The manager can start working on the project, giving for the agency the idea of what they want. And because the tool is very easy and intuitive, and you can like kind of drag and drop the elements you would like to have in your tool, explain with the comments what are the things that are needed to be like kind of edited or finalized or changed in certain way. And yeah, an agency can pick up that work directly from you and continue, and you will be both the working in the same project, and you don't have to worry about like sending that over emails, those materials. So you're working in one system, and this very much like speeds up the communication. And the kind of last but not least, so first part is when we are asking and like providing the guidelines for how the project should be started and created within certain guidelines. But the very important part for us is also that we as a production part, we are working in the same system with the same technology, and we can ensure that these assets that are being created, they are like kind of being the part of the same ecosystem. So the actual builds and like output files, they are done with the same tools and with the same like continuation of the same project. So that actually helps us very much to reduce the the chance of different issues and errors which are happening like with the system updates, like when the email systems and like email clients being updated or web browsers being updated. And like we're implementing those changes and updates right away into the same templates, and we like don't like copy some we reduce the chance of copying the same error from the initial project to the further projects if they are like being worked on further. So that's a very important part also for us as a production, because we receive kind of and work within the same thing. And in overall, that all is like very much affecting the budget of the works, for sure, because we are spending less time on communication, less time on production, less time on creation. And yeah, this is a very big part of the standardization process.
Yeah, all right. So as far as I understood, like templates by themselves are not just a way to standardize things, but they're also a way to optimize the effort.
Yeah, absolutely. So creating the templates, creating templates for content, it's part of the like operational model. When you are working on the, you know, like not just thinking about the how this asset should look like, but also on how you are working with this asset, how many people are involved in the process, and like that's all about also operational effort.
All right, that's interesting. And we before the session, we kind of put together some of the top questions that are normally asked by our clients while they are on like on different levels of their digital maturity and the experience of working with the templates or content factories or something like that. And we covered today part of the things already before. So what's a template, and what are the modules and the blocks. So we're gonna then in our next like Q&A, we're gonna focus about like bringing the standard to this whole digital ecosystem, integrations and everything, and also touch upon, and probably Sasha, you could take this one as your first question. What would be the benefits of modular content and templates just for you in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, this is a good question, because I believe this is kind of the future we are going into, because we're working very much again on standardizing what should be the form, or what could be the form, and what should be the meaning, and the content itself. So modular approach in the content helps us basically to separate those kind of well, assets and efforts again, because we can create content and like its modules, not depending on the format. And so that means that when we have the pattern and the system set up, we can use the same module with the same like core message and its like attributes in the different channels. Not focusing on the like what should be the what should be like the design for this asset, the system. So you can pick up what is convenient, what you like, and every time this might be something different. So if you think that you want to try out what's the best, let's say, way of delivering certain piece of information for your customers and for your audience, you might try that out with different, you know, leveraging that in different ways, but not changing the meaning.
All right, and I think there is one question from the audience that I think is like very related to what you've been saying, like outside of email, what other type of tactics can modules be used in?
Outside of email, you said?
Yeah, if email, we shown this example a couple of times in my screenshots and then in the video, but except for email, in which type of other materials did you see modular content to be used?
Yeah, I see. So it would be definitely, first of all, the e-detail, because that's one of the like core
Right.
pieces. Yeah, of the materials which are used for in communication. And also here I don't exclude, like personal visits and like personal communication and remote communication. I think nowadays it's like very much clear that it goes side by side. But also for sure the website, because nothing is really limiting us except of the regulations and like what information can be presented in what way, like which that this module is being like handled within the email, website, and IV and the e-detail. Also banners and social media as well. So, and for sure like the learning courses and learning materials for the HCPs. That's are the I would say that these are all like core assets that can be using modules. It just depends, like what information is comfortable and makes sense to deliver within each of the channels, because you might think what might be the how people are consuming that information within the email or within the personal presentation, or and like conversation, or within the website or banners when they are browsing through different any other information. So it might, yeah, just depend.
Yeah, so technically, like there are no limitations to where modules can be used, because in essence, they have no form. They would be like just a combination of different like text, images, references that are approved to be used together, and one and the same thing can be injected into the different piece and then be tracked. And I really liked when Sasha said that the modular approach really changes how we think about content creation. We don't think emails or websites any longer. We think messages that we have to deliver, and those would be modules. And then we just think about whichever channel in the user journey we have and how often we want to expose the person to this key message. And then inject that into this or that content type along the journey.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, well, good then. So I would say now let's, we won't have like any more slides to share, anything like that. So we have some questions already, both from like our team and from the audience as well. And I think like I would like to start first with this very interesting questions, as like, how can we understand that the content standardization is done? Is there any checkpoint, what sign can you get to really understand like, well, now I'm done?
That's funny. I think there is actually no limit for standardization, and there is no like final deadline or checkpoint, like till what moment it can be done. And I think sometimes it's even hard to tell when it has been starting, because it's kind of a constant journey when you're trying to improve things and to eliminate efforts that you do and your team does for creating different things. So it's very much about the constant and never-ending process. Of course, you will have some, like bigger parts to do, smaller parts to do, but it's all about, again, like improving the things and the process for content production and generation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you here. So in multiple conversations that I had before with our clients is that sometimes countries would not want to accept any kind of standard that's driven by the global. And they think sometimes that it limits their creativity, it limits their unique personalized approach to the audiences. How would you say, should standardization for different markets be done in different ways?
I would probably call that not in different ways, but it's 50-50 approach. So there should be a core system that is implemented and controlled centrally, because that can ensure that everybody will follow that, and there should be an owner of that process and system, because if if nobody cares and everybody wants to do something on their own, then this is, again, it's not standardization anymore, and it doesn't bring any benefits and efficiency to the process, and it will not reach its goals. But this core, which is driven by some centralized approach, this can be customized on the certain level. So the template should be one that the company provides, but countries may have their own regulations, and that's absolutely, I mean, we are living in the world where we have more than 200 countries, and they have their own regulations and rules for content delivery, for showing up the information, and this is absolutely normal if these templates are being customized with certain level of adjustability and local edits and local changes. So that means that I just believe that again, the level of the edits and what exactly can be customized should be also controlled by central and global team. Because if we're talking about changing the email is the most simple example, but if we're talking about changing the headers and the footers, where usually there are some certain regulations on what exactly can be or should be indicated there for this information delivery, we can't. This is fine, and also some specific blogs or types of information that should be added. But if we're talking about changing the colors and absolutely changing the way the template and email is created, then this is not anymore the template and customization. It's absolutely custom thing, and there might be cases when this is the aim to reach certain a certain goal, or this is something not related to this company specifically, or chases its own like interests. But if we are talking about the daily communication that a company is doing for their customers and their audience, it should be recognizable and consistent.
Yeah, well, my next question would be related to what you said. So would all of the content types, that email, a website, a banner, or anything, require same way of standardization? And the reason this question popped up is that in some content types, design or creative part is very important.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be your idea?
I think here I would reply that no, because we have different channels and different assets, and we cannot say that email can be standardized the same way the let's say website is or a presentation is, and just because there are different levels of like how the information can be delivered, and definitely in the website you can do very different things that you can do in the email. And also I would think here about the like the aim behind this, like why do you need to standardize this? So we also put usually some metrics on that, and to like goals to either we want to cut the time for creation or to eliminate the errors or deviations from the like brand design or things like that, or different types of things. And it will mean just like that we need to find what part should be standardized, and like again, what are the technical requisites behind that as well? Because if we're talking about the banners, that's the kind of the content which doesn't fall that I mean like that's strictly for the same channels like emails and e-details. I mean like we can standardize banners and like make them all in the same way, and actually we kind of very much do that in I mean like in a lot of examples, and where we have like same elements and the same positioning, same let's say techniques to be used or things like that. But sometimes we need to in the banners we don't have that much of the technical requirements to standardize like that very much and build that skeletons, and because of that we have more, let's say, freedom and more possibilities to create something very different. And also banners are, like online banners is something that needs to catch your eye and attention out of the different content that you see. So that might be usually much more like brighter and different to the other like content out of, I mean, like other channels. But again, just to sum up, the level of standardization can be different. It depends on like what you can achieve with standardizing these assets and templates, and like what are the other requisites available for those channels.
Yeah, from what you said, I kept on thinking that the standardization can be applied, for example, for technology, for way to produce things, and that's why like decoupling and putting apart creative, which would be like that visual part, and production is very important to understand just while we are thinking about standardization.
Mm-hmm.
it should not limit the creativity in a way exactly as you said. A banner should be attracting people. There is so much competition for the attention of the user in the internet, so they should do their job, but the way how they are produced, that's probably there is a lot of things that can be standardized and optimized.
Yeah, and just to give you one more example, when we're talking about standardization, we are not talking only about design elements in that. If let's say we're talking about banners, standardization here might be the type of the software that format that is used for banners production, and also you might have like already set up and build like sizes and frames for those banners and like animation elements, but everything else is being kind of customly developed, I mean like created, designed, but those things are kind of the part of the standardized stuff that would require, usually if you create that from scratch, I don't know, 10 hours or something else. So we're just cutting that part by standardizing the way already this asset is being created. So again, this is part of the template, so to say.
All right. All right. Well, we are just about 10 minutes before we are out of time for this session, and I guess I'd have time for just 2 questions. And I think, like, given all of the templates and standards is there, how would the role of a person, developer or content manager or content author, how would his role change?
Yeah, I think this was kind of already also mentioned within your presentation. Sorry, and like what I was explaining also about my daily responsibilities is that when we are using when we are having the standardization for content and this approach used to develop things and like change the way we already do something, it helps for the production to, first of all, to to reduce the time they need for certain stuff, and also for the content operations managers like me who gather the requirements, translate that into the tasks for work for the production teams. Again, because we reduce the effort needed to communicate the requirements and guidelines, and we receive that in right format, and we communicate that further to the production teams. Again, and there is less and less questions, let's say, are appearing like what should be done, how, what is this, what is that. Yeah, and in overall for the marketing managers, just because they also have the brief with the like either list or checklist or whatever, with the again requirements, what has to be there, like what's the procedure, what should be done, like what things they like kind of should include, should follow on to have the asset created. So it's in overall the efforts optimization.
All right, all right. And the last question would be, and I'm always laughing about that, but because if we never mention AI and machine learning in the webinar, either in the deck or in the questions, it always pops up. It means that something's wrong with that webinar. So the question is, how would AI and machine learning support marketers and IT in the standardization, and how they will then be able to automate content production? Any thoughts?
So that yeah, that's the topic which is like popping up around different webinars and conversations here and there and now, and especially because that's the technologies that can help us. You know, and the approaches that can help us to, first of all, to store and search the content more efficiently, because that might be also an issue and time consuming as well. And that can help us to, let's say, like if we are talking about AI and machine learning, to suggest the right content modules for certain key messages. Let's say if you have already a lot of them, and you like your company has created a lot of campaigns and a lot of, and this, let's say, key message is being utilized, you know, in different campaigns in different ways and adjusted. It's important to kind of understand like what you have for and how you use it, and the technologies are like learning and on that patterns, and they will be further on like kind of suggesting you the best variations and the best options for creating new things and new stuff. And let's say we have been using something couple of I don't know, some time ago, and we like to repeat that stuff but modify it, and the system would suggest it to you and find it as something working well some time ago. But you know, we are not speaking, like if we're moving, we're not in a couple of years, we're not going to speak to the same audience we had a couple of years ago. So it will be the message update and message rework. So it's all about like again making our work a little bit easier for content creation, and then approval again, because it will be helping the system, the technology should be helping to understand for the managers that this has been approved already, or has been approved in certain extent. I mean, like, and these are modifications right now that you need to verify and review. Yeah, and I see this is like the best utilization that has to come with integrating these technologies in the workflows and in basically content production.
All right. Thank you so much. That was really insightful. And I guess also standardization, modularization is also like a step towards that applying AI in practice.
Yeah.
So I really want to thank everybody who joined our session. Huge thank you, Oleksandra, for sharing your ideas and sharing your experience. And I wish everybody great rest of your day wherever you are. So stay tuned for our next webinars. Bye.
Thank you very much. All right. Bye-bye.